is our great country, the land we live in, the land we're so proud of, our own United States of America. It's a big country, this land of ours, one of the biggest in the world. A country of plains and prairies, of vast forests and fertile fields, rivers and lakes, high mountains, little villages, and great cities. No wonder we're so proud of America. There's so much to be proud of. And here's one of the most wonderful things about this vast country of ours. No matter where we want to travel, no matter how far raw materials and finished products must be transported, ready for use, there are trains. Beautiful, comfortable passenger trains for people to travel on. And long, sturdy freight trains to carry all kinds of raw materials and manufactured goods. Have you ever stopped to think how really important railroads are? Have you ever thought of what it takes for the millions of people in this great country to be able to travel from one end of the land to the other with speed, safety, comfort, and at low cost? Have you ever marveled at the way coal and iron and hundreds of other raw materials seem to move continuously to the nation's widespread factories? And how thousands of different finished products are delivered from the factories to where they are needed in all parts of the country? And have you ever wondered how the foods we eat are always being delivered from the farms to our markets, and how they arrive fresh as the day they were picked? Well, the answers to those questions make up one of the most thrilling and important stories in the history of our country, the story of the American railroads. In order to tell you that story, we're going to visit the railroad yards of America. We're going into the railroad stations and out along the tracks. In that way, you will get a better idea of what the American railroad system is like and the big, important job railroads are always doing. Then, the next time you are on a train, or the next time you see a train speeding off into the distance, you'll understand how much we all depend on railroads and how much railroads do to help make and keep this land of ours the most wonderful and prosperous nation in the world. When our country was young and much smaller than it is today, traveling was slow, uncomfortable, and dangerous. So people didn't travel very much. Then, just a little more than 100 years ago, came the one thing young America needed to grow into an important nation: adequate transportation. That transportation came in the form of railroads. Those early trains were funny little affairs when compared with the big trains we see roll today, but they had a lot to do with opening up and developing vast new territories, which later became states. You could say that America and her railroads grew up together. As the railroads pushed ahead, settlers followed. Farms were cleared and crops planted. Mines were dug, and the railroads began moving the ore and the coal to mills and factories. Villages which sprang up around the railroad stations grew and prospered into big, important cities. Today, almost every village, town, and city in the country has trains coming and going every day and every night through all kinds of weather, carrying millions of people and tons of freight. Everyone knows that the railroads are an essential partner in the important business of living, because only the railroads have the enormous capacity needed to carry most of the foods we eat, the clothes we wear, the fuel we burn, and the other things we depend upon for use every day. For those of you who have never traveled on trains before, suppose we see what happens when we take a train trip. We'll go along with these two friends of ours, Carol and Jimmy. That is, if Jimmy can ever get Carol's suitcase shut. In real life, their parents would probably go along with them. But for this picture, suppose we let Carol and Jimmy travel by themselves. Okay? There they go in the taxi cab that will take them to the railroad station. Almost every town has a railroad station. Some are larger than others, but all railroad stations, large or small, are very interesting places. For example, at most railroad stations, you will usually find the Railway Express. You will see people checking and sorting packages to make certain that they will be put aboard trains which will take them to their destinations without delay. And remember, they will handle almost anything, even your dog. In the yards of many railroad stations, cars are cleaned inside and out to put them into tip-top condition for the passengers who will soon be getting aboard. In another part of the yards, dining cars are stocked with fresh vegetables, meats, milk, and all the other foods that will be needed for the meals that will be served when the train is on its way. Nearby, there's usually a roundhouse. Locomotives are brought to the roundhouse for cleaning and light repair. Maybe you've wondered how great big locomotives are turned around. Well, let's watch and see how easy it is. The locomotive is run onto the turntable. On goes the power, and around goes the locomotive. As easy as you please. Say, we'd better not forget Carol and Jimmy. There they are, arriving in plenty of time to check their baggage and buy their tickets before their train is scheduled to leave. Pay the taxi driver, Jimmy. And get a check from the red cap for each one of your handbags. The next stop is the ticket window. Now let's see. Jimmy and Carol are going to visit their aunt and uncle at a town about 1,000 miles away. They will be coming back by train, so they will buy round-trip tickets. By buying round-trip tickets, they will save money, too. The ticket clerk stamps each ticket with the date on which the ticket is purchased and the date on which the ticket is to be used. So far, so good. Carol and Jimmy are getting along like veteran travelers. They now have their round-trip train tickets. But wait just a minute, Carol and Jimmy. You two are going to sleep on the train, aren't you? Well, I thought so. Well, that means, in addition to your train tickets, you will have to have sleeping car tickets. That's right. You're all set now. Say, you'd better not take too much time paying for your tickets, though, Jimmy, because here comes your train. Quite as exciting as a railroad station at train time. From the time the train arrives until it is ready to leave again is usually only a matter of a very few minutes. But during that short period, many things happen. Trunks, luggage, and other such items are loaded into the baggage car near the head end of the train. The United States mail is put aboard the railway mail car. Friends and relatives bid each other last-minute goodbyes. Passengers like Carol and Jimmy board their cars and are shown their space in the car by the porter. It's just about time now for the train to pull out. All aboard! The train conductor signals to the locomotive engineer. In a matter of seconds, big, powerful driving wheels start turning. Smoothly, almost without effort, the train gathers momentum. And before long, it is out in the open country again, running along at top speed. It's really great fun traveling on trains. You can sit for hours just watching the scenery as it rushes by. It's almost like a travel motion picture. One of the most interesting motion pictures you could possibly imagine. Here's the conductor. Tickets, please. Most passenger trains carry the United States mail, for the railroad postal car is the very backbone of our country's mail service. These men are railway postal clerks, just like the clerks in the post office at home, except that here they work while the train speeds along. Watch them sort the mail, getting it packaged for delivery by the time the train reaches the proper station. One of the most popular cars on almost any passenger train is the dining car, a real restaurant on wheels. Table for two? Right this way, please. Now, Carol and Jimmy, what do you think you'd like to eat? What a choice. Almost anything you can think of. And if you need any help, the steward is only too pleased to offer some suggestions. Here's an interesting part of the train most people will never get a chance to see: the dining car kitchen. No space is wasted, and everything is spick and span. That food looks almost good enough to eat, doesn't it? Looks as though Carol and Jimmy topped off their meal with ice cream. What's this? Oh, the check. That's all right, my good man. Keep the change. Modern trains provide the cheapest and most comfortable of all forms of mass transportation. They have spacious, air-conditioned lounge cars where passengers can relax and read, or sit and talk with fellow passengers. There are many types of accommodations on modern trains. There are single rooms like this, called roomettes. There are bedrooms, compartments, and more spacious drawing rooms, all with the latest conveniences. Rooms which make up into sleeping rooms at night. The car that Jimmy and Carol are in is known as an open section car and has upper and lower berths. That's right, Jimmy. Always use the ladder to get into an upper. It's getting pretty late, so good night, Carol and Jimmy, and pleasant dreams. Always remember that you're traveling the safest and soundest way that there is to travel when you travel by train. Up to now, we've talked mostly about passenger trains. But how many of you know that most of the trains in the country carry no passengers at all? That's right. Most trains carry freight, the things that are so important in our daily lives, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the fuel we burn. Almost everything we use depends at some stage on the services of railroads. On the fertile plains of the North and West are grown the millions of bushels of grains, which are so much a part of our everyday diets. The railroads move these grains to huge storage elevators or onto the mills. Then, later on, when the grains have been ground, the railroads move products, such as flour, to the cities and towns, where it is baked into the bread which we find every day on the shelves of our neighborhood grocery stores. Moving cattle and sheep from the great ranges of the West is another important railroad job. The cattle are first rounded up. Then they are loaded into special railroad cars to be moved, sometimes long distances, to packing houses where they are dressed. And then they are moved again to the meat markets of the country. Eventually, through the help of railroads, we have meat on our dinner tables. Fresh fruits and vegetables, things known as perishables, are handled by the railroads in special refrigerator cars, cars which are very much like our ice boxes at home. Refrigerator cars are packed with ice to keep perishables from spoiling while they are being moved. Railroads are depended upon to move the nation's raw materials to factories, which will make them into finished products. Iron ore, scooped from the mines of Alabama, the great ranges of Wisconsin and Minnesota, are moved to the nation's blast furnaces to be made into iron and steel. The railroads also buy millions of tons of finished iron and steel every year for their cars and locomotives, tracks and bridges. Coal is one of the most important things carried by the railroads. Millions of tons are moved every year to keep factories working. Railroads are depended upon to deliver the coal to towns and cities, to keep homes, hospitals, schoolhouses, and other buildings heated during the cold winter months. Railroads are one of the coal industry's greatest customers, too. They buy about 1/5 of all the coal that is mined every year to run their locomotives and for other railroad uses. Railroads carry logs from the forests to the mills. When the logs have been cut, the finished lumber is moved to where it is needed in the building of houses and in the making of other wood products. Cotton, grown in Dixie, is moved to the textile mills of New England and the Southeast, where it is made into cloth for clothing and thousands of other important items. Oil is moved by the railroads in huge quantities, too. And railroads buy and use about 1/5 of all the fuel oil sold in the country every year. Railroad tracks go right down to the docks of the nation's seaports. In this way, freight cars deliver the products of farms, forests, mines, and factories to the side of the ships that will sail with them to the far corners of the world. And so that things from other countries can be loaded directly into railroad cars for delivery all over America. If you think about it at all, you will realize what a great big job the railroads of America are always doing, and why they are the nation's most important form of transportation, always on the move, all day and all night, working for America, delivering all the many things that America needs to keep warm, well-fed, and properly clothed. And here's something that many of you may not have realized before about the railroads of America, and that is that they pay enough in school taxes alone to provide an education for more than 1 million school children every year. Say, it's time we were getting back to Carol and Jimmy. They'll think we've forgotten all about them. Here's their train coming into their station, and right on time. It looks like their aunt and uncle are pretty happy to see them, too. Well, the train is ready to start moving again. There she goes, pulling out of the station, gathering speed, carrying other passengers and mail and baggage to other stations. We certainly hope you've had a nice time coming along on this trip with us, and that you've learned something about railroads that perhaps you didn't know before. We hope each and every one of you will be able to take a trip on a train very soon. Perhaps you'll want to visit a big city. Maybe you'll prefer to take a vacation trip to the wide open spaces. Or maybe some of you will prefer the ocean. But no matter where you might want to go, remember, there are always trains to take you. And when you go, you'll see how big and how wonderful your own United States of America really is. Yes, railroads play an important part in our daily lives. They are an important part of America, carrying tons of freight and millions of people where they want to go every day of the year. That's one of the wonderful things about America. In America, people can go where they want to go, when they want to go there. And they can go by any form of transportation they care to go by. Here in America, a person can go to school and be educated to the extent of his ability and desire, from kindergarten to the finest universities to be found anywhere in the world. Here in America, a person can worship God as he chooses. He can go to any church he cares to go to. This is a great country, America, a country of the people, by the people, for the people. Always remember that. Always honor your flag, and never fail to fight, if needs be, for the rights, privileges, and freedoms it stands for. Yes, this is indeed a great land, a land of opportunity, a land made great by the efforts of individuals, individual efforts which have raised ours to the world's highest standard of living. Keep these thoughts ever in your mind. Never let them go. America's youth, educated in America's history, traditions, and principles, are the greatest hope, the greatest protection for the future of the greatest country to be found anywhere on the face of the earth.
3 centuries ago. An unknown land, its uncharted wilderness, a challenge. Now a leader of the world, a nation of 150 million people who enjoy as no one else anywhere the blessings of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. The United States of America, vast, rich, dynamic. All across this fabulous land, matchless cities rear lofty towers of hope and ambition in stone and steel, symbolic beacons of man's achievement under a system of free enterprise and representative government. Cities, centers of the nation's economic strength and cultural expression. Cities, clearinghouses for America's mammoth structure of industry, agriculture, and finance. Ocean to ocean, Canada to the Great Gulf, the land is an infinite treasury of natural resources. Productive timberlands cover 1/4 of the nation's land area, assure an adequate supply of forest products for myriad industries. Lakes, rivers refresh the land and serve the people. Rich stores of minerals, coal, copper, aluminum, iron, gold, silver, zinc, lead, manganese, and many, many more are wrested from the earth, skillfully converted into necessities and luxuries. These unsurpassed natural resources make America a colossus of productive power. From this fertile land, 9 million farmers produce an abundant variety of agricultural products. A bountiful supply of the bread and meat that makes Americans the best fed people on earth. Industrial America, the amazing accomplishment of inventive genius, built with the brain and brawn of a free, aggressive people. In 250,000 factories throughout the land, workers are turning out goods of incredible variety and quality. Industrial wealth beyond compare. And all of this vast agricultural and industrial development and production is dependent upon mass transportation. American railroads move anything, anywhere, anytime. They provide the most efficient, dependable transportation in the world. The purchasing power of the American people is unequaled anywhere. The American people work hard and spend freely. America is a nation of homes, large, small, modest, and pretentious. They represent comfort and security, a pleasant family life. Power behind this great nation is coal. Utilization of heat and power is a necessity to progress. In America, by far the greatest single source of heat and power is coal. A primary use of coal is in the home. Today, prepared coal is burned scientifically in modern, efficient furnaces fed by mechanical stokers. The domestic consumer demands an economic fuel of high quality, and he asks for equipment designed especially to burn it. Through extensive research and experimentation, the bituminous coal industry and the stoker manufacturer, working hand in hand, fulfill this consumer demand to provide the utmost in fuel satisfaction. Schools, factories, and office buildings are heated uniformly and economically with bituminous coal. Most large buildings burn especially prepared coal in furnaces fed by mechanical stokers. This prepared coal is clean. It leaves a minimum of ash and produces maximum heat. The experience of millions of users establishes that coal is the one fuel which is always dependable. Bituminous coal creates almost 50% of all the energy used to drive the wheels, generate the current, provide the light and power that American commerce requires. And some of it goes into the making of the world's tastiest hot biscuits, too. Our public utilities use bituminous coal as the primary agent for the production of gas and the generation of electrical power. Thus, coal's energy is transmitted into other forms. Coal is indispensable in the manufacture of iron and steel. Coke, a byproduct of coal, is used as a principal heating agent in producing steel from iron ore, steel for skyscrapers, steel for bridges, steel for railroads, for machinery and tools, for plows, steel for national defense. Coal is the major railroad fuel, providing the power behind that indispensable system of mass transportation. And it powers ships which plow the seven seas. But coal is far more than a fuel. It is the most prolific raw material known to chemistry. The magic of modern industrial chemistry has produced innumerable new products and better replacements for old ones. In today's byproduct plants, coal is burned in airless ovens. And from this wondrous mineral are extracted coke, gases, ammonia, and coal tar, basis for a multitude of modern chemicals. Coke and gas used as fuel are the greatest bulk byproduct of bituminous coal. Ammonia, versatile byproduct of coal, yields many amazing derivatives. Refrigeration agents for the preservation of meats and other perishables. Fertilizers, a major ammonia derivative. Plastics, camera film, lacquers. Explosives for mines, quarries, munitions. Coal tar is another major derivative of coal. It is used in the paving of smooth, long-lasting highways, and in the form of creosote and the important preservation of wood. And coal tar is the miracle substance of modern industrial chemistry. Black magic in a test tube. It is the source of an unbelievable variety of valuable products. From this black coal tar comes a rainbow range of colors and shadings of synthetic dyes. Synthetic flavors, too. Wintergreen, vanilla, almond, peppermint, and saccharin, the sweetest of them all. Modern medicine is thoroughly dependent on coal tar. The sulfa drugs, Ativan, aspirin, antiseptics, anesthetics, and countless other healing agents come from lowly coal tar. Yes, coal is a paradox. It is the basis for explosives and poison gases. Yet, from it come delicate perfumes, the breath of romance, no less varied than the odors of natural flowers. Beauty again, sheer, lovely hosiery spun from nylon, another magic creation from that black, smelly, sticky substance, coal tar. This amazing bituminous coal industry is the keystone in the economic structure of America. The industry in the United States has a capital investment in plant and property of over $4 billion. It employs 375,000 workers who are paid over $1,200 million annually. And it spends over $100 million a year for supplies and equipment. Its direct and indirect employment combined provide a livelihood for some 4 million men and women who spend millions upon millions of dollars for food, for clothing, and for other necessities and luxuries of life. And this great industry is an example of enterprise free from monopoly. 5,000 companies operate 9,000 mines. Thousands of independent dealers throughout the country are in the business of selling and delivering coal to the consumer. And a host of manufacturers and dealers produce or sell coal-consuming equipment. Bituminous coal ranks above all other commodities in railroad tonnage and revenue. The railroads themselves use about 1/6 of the total annual production. Thus, the railroad and the coal industries are partners, each dependent upon the progress and welfare of the other. For centuries, the empire of black diamonds lay buried beneath the rugged mountains, inaccessible to the world until the railroad came. To serve the coal industry, the Norfolk and Western Railway spends many millions of dollars for efficient, adequate coal handling facilities. It designs, builds, and maintains in its own shop fleets of powerful coal-burning steam locomotives, especially designed for moving heavy tonnage trains. In the railway's great shops, workers build thousands of sturdy steel coal cars designed to meet the varied needs of shippers and receivers of coal. Normally, 14 cars roll off the N&W's Roanoke, Virginia shop assembly line in an 8-hour day. Or one every 34 minutes. The railroad maintains great inland terminals. Through Portsmouth, Ohio, 102 miles of track with 10,000 car capacity flows about 2/3 of all the coal handled by the railway. In addition to inland terminals, the Norfolk and Western tidewater facilities at Lambert's Point near Norfolk, Virginia, are rated among the finest in the world. What is this substance called coal? How, when, and where is it formed? Geologists tell us that some 250 million years ago, the whirling mass of Earth began to cool. Dense, dank vegetation grew swiftly in the swampy world. For about 35 million years, these tropical forests grew, fell, and piled into a quagmire of decayed vegetable matter hundreds of feet deep. The ebb and flow of inundating waters left great deposits of sand and silt, which became rock strata overlying the masses of vegetable matter. The sheer weight exerted tremendous pressure, creating heat and chemical breakdown of the decaying vegetable masses. They were converted successively into peat, lignite, and coal. Cataclysms of nature throughout thousands of centuries altered the outer structure of the earth, forcing the deposits of coal near the surface in some places and burying them beyond discovery in others. Evidence of these violent upheavals and changes can easily be seen today in exposed outcroppings of the time-worn mountains, the geologist's key to the secret of the phenomenon of coal. Thus, nature spun the romantic story of coal, noblest mineral of them all. With considerably more than half the world's known coal reserves and a stupendous industrial demand, the United States of America occupies first place among the coal-producing countries of the world, accounting for nearly 1/3 of the annual world production. Its value exceeds that of our combined annual production of gold, silver, copper, and iron. Richest in point of value are the coal deposits of the eastern area, containing probably 9/10 of the high-ranked coal of the country. The Appalachian region, from northern Pennsylvania into Alabama, is a huge depository of bituminous and semi-bituminous coals of the highest rank. Heart and center of this region is the territory served by the Norfolk and Western Railway, on whose lines are mined the world-famed Pocahontas, Tug River, Upper Buckhannon, Thacker, Canova, and Clinch Valley coals, so universally accepted as the criteria of fuel satisfaction. The mountains of southern West Virginia, western Virginia, and eastern Kentucky are dotted with hundreds of coal tipples. Let's follow these men into the mines and see how coal is produced. In this shaft mine, the workers enter cages or elevators and descend hundreds of feet into the earth to their job. Drift mine entries shoot horizontally into the sides of mountains. In both drift and shaft mines, the men ride electric trains underground to the points of operation. The modern coal mine is a far cry from the days when miners laboriously hauled coal with mule and cart. A man of tremendous importance in coal mining is the experienced safety inspector, better known as the fire boss. His job starts long before the miners begin working. Before each shift enters the mine, before a single passage is worked, he carefully checks for gas. He uses an extremely sensitive instrument, the methane detector. His okay must be on the face of the coal before operations begin. At the working face of a coal seam, the first operation is cutting. This huge alligator-like machine with swift revolving blades is moved to the coal face and cuts deep gashes across the bottom and center of the coal to be blasted, thus increasing the efficiency of the charge of dynamite or compressed air to come. During the cutting operation, the machine operator tests once more for gas. Sometimes the cutting machine is used to shear the face vertically. With either vertical or horizontal cuts, the coal blasts down evenly with only a little explosive and without excessive breakage. Now the miner drills holes in the working face so that charges can be placed to blast the greatest amount of coal with the least explosive. The charge is tamped into the drilled holes carefully, and electric fuses are connected to a battery box. The switch goes down, the coal is blasted, and a pile of black lumps will soon become a prepared fuel product. After sturdy wooden props have been erected to prevent slate falls, one of the newest of mining machines is pushed into place, the automatic coal loader. Then a string of empty cars moves up to the fallen coal, and the loader begins its magic work. A water spray is used to eliminate dust. Motors collect the loaded cars from the working faces and assemble them into strings. Throughout the day and night, these long trains come rolling from the depths. Over 500 million tons a year in the United States, a continuous flow of bituminous coal. In shaft mines, loaded cars are hauled to the elevator, and up they go, hundreds of feet to the top of the shaft, where they are automatically dumped into a chute leading to the tipple. In drift or horizontal mines, loaded trains buzz from the interior and sometimes run several miles along the mountainside before reaching the top of the tipple, called the head house. At the head house, each car is run to a rotary dumper and quickly turned over. The coal spills into a conveyor belt. Another example of the newer mining equipment. And the car quickly returns to the track as another takes its place. The belt conveys the coal without breakage or dust. Shaker screens on the tipple grade the coal according to size: flax, pea, nuts, soles, egg, and lump. The smaller sizes are washed by air or water to eliminate foreign matter. Larger sizes pass directly to the picking tables, where keen-eyed experts spot and remove slate and rock. After the washing and cleansing, coal is re-screened, assuring a clean, uniformly sized product. Coal passes next to a flexible loading boom poised above railroad cars. It flows gently and evenly into the big cars as automatic sprays sprinkle it with oil or other chemicals. This is the famed dustless treatment, the final operation in the production of clean fuel satisfaction. Thus, the process of mining, grading, and preparation is completed. The finished product is ready to roll. From the myriad spur lines up hidden mountain hollows, from more than 100 mines in southern West Virginia, western Virginia, and eastern Kentucky, come the mine trains to assemble in the great inland yard. Then the mightiest steam power of the Norfolk and Western Railway begins its long trip for hundreds of miles over the steep mountain grades across the Alleghanies, westward to the great manufacturing centers and to the lake ports, eastward to other centers of industry, and down to the sea. The railroad, a potent driving force with a tremendous job to do. A job that is carried on every hour of every day and in the darkness of night, in rain and sleet and burning sun, swiftly and efficiently. Without the railroad, there could be no mass movement of this vital commodity. From the steep peaks to the hilly lands, to the broad valleys, to the coastal plains, trains rush toward the sea with their cargoes of black diamond. Most impressive of all Norfolk and Western coal handling facilities is the great ocean terminal at Norfolk, Virginia. Here, the interminable strings of loaded cars rush from the west to meet the steady stream of ocean-going vessels. Here, the coal commerce of America rubs elbows with other commerce of our own land and the nations of the world. Vast, complex, a maze of tracks converging on gigantic steel piers, thrusting their girders over deep water. This is Lambert's Point. Let's see what takes place when ships come here for coal. As the ship approaches, yard crews shift cars into position from which they drift by gravity to the scale. Meanwhile, a sturdy tug moves over the blue water to meet the freighter. It shepherds the ship to the pier, recognized as one of the most modern and efficient coal piers in existence. The tug noses her big charge alongside. It is docked, and loading operations are ready to begin. Now the cars of coal ordered for this ship are rolling slowly across the scale. An automatic instrument of wondrous precision weighs each car. Weights are transmitted by telautograph to the pier office. The car drifts on down to the Barney hump. The cars are carried through this entire operation by remote control. The Barney, sometimes called the mule, emerges from the pit and pushes the coal car up the incline. The car drifts through the steam thawing shed used to facilitate dumping in cold weather. Emerging, it passes upon a retarding device which slows it down. The switch is thrown, the mechanical brain controlling the amazingly synchronized operation is in motion. The great pan which will receive the coal is lowered to the ship. As each car passes the pier office, it is finally checked off as delivered to the ship. Entering the elevator, the loaded car bumps off a returned empty and is automatically locked into position. The elevator ascends. A rubber-covered retarding device on the great pan moves into position to receive the coal. Now the car with its top covered with an overlapping hood is turned on its side. The coal slowly spills out the gate of the hood, rolls gently into the pan. The retarder backs slowly before the coal, easing it into the telescopic chute. An automatic chemical sprinkler adds an exact moisture content to meet specific demands. Now the great telescopic chute, filled with coal, moves closer to the ship's deck. It is projected slowly down into the deep hold of the vessel. This chute is a huge and intricate mechanism, but highly flexible. The tremor, or conveyor, slides from the chute's mouth. The tremor, another of the coal distribution industry's newest machines, is almost human, as it directs the flow of coal to the farthest corners of the hold and spreads it evenly. The long trip from mine to ship's hold is complete. The empty car is lowered to the pier track level and is bumped from the elevator by the oncoming loaded car. The empty rolls down the incline and up the switchback. It reverses direction and rolls back on the return track into the empty yard, soon to rejoin a train of other empties for the journey west, back to the mountains and the mines to be loaded again and again in the endless cycle of production. The ship is full, the job is done, and soon this great coal carrier will steam out to sea. But other ships will come to take more cargoes of coal. Coastwise ships from the north and south, and ships from afar off across the 7 seas. For the need for coal is universal, and the fame of fuel satisfaction is world-renowned. And so, in a world where the power of harnessed energy is vital to progress, the United States of America looks with pride upon its vast stores of unexcelled coal. For coal is power. It is the greatest single source of heat and energy convertible to the needs of mankind. By the use of coal, man has made iron his slave. And by the use of iron, man rules the world. Through the wizardry of modern industrial chemistry, coal now emerges as the most useful raw material known to man, a prolific source of an infinite variety of valuable materials. Without coal in abundance, industrial development as it exists in the United States today could not have been possible. The Norfolk and Western Railway is proud of its contribution to the nation's progress in providing indispensable transportation for coal, the power behind the greatest nation on earth.
NW 50, 450 out.
It's any night in the week, rain or shine, at the Norfolk and Western Joyce Avenue Yard in Columbus. And they're making up time freight 86, eastbound for Portsmouth, Ohio, Williamson and Bluefield, West Virginia, Roanoke and Norfolk, Virginia. NW 50, 450 couples into its right place. Couples into time freight 86. On this road, time freights move with the precision of crack passenger trains. I don't know. I've had 30 years on the Norfolk and Western. I've seen men and equipment move practically anything that has reason to roll over these rails. There's the highball. Let's go. It's 9 o'clock and 86 is getting out of town. When 86 moves, the product of the land moves along with her. The word goes out. The telegraph sends the news. 86 is on her way through the night.
N&W time freights speed through a rich, progressive six-state area: Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, Kentucky, and Maryland. This is the land of plenty. The Norfolk and Western uses the words precision transportation when speaking of its service. That's more than a slogan, it's an accurate description. Over a century of railroading, thousands of skilled, loyal men and women, finest equipment money can buy or men can build, sound operation, cooperation with every shipper. It adds up to dependable freight service. People rely upon the railroad to move their products to market. They depend on the railroad for the distribution of food. They depend on the railway to empty their bulging barns of bright leaf tobacco. When the purebred steers are ready to move, the shippers turn to the N&W. The lumbermen know that the road will move their fragrant stacks of pine and upland hardwoods to market. Behind this diversification of cargo are the N&W's extensive studies on freight handling, packing, and loading. The railroad provides the proper power, and there's a car for every job, designed to haul any product safely, dependably, and swiftly. The railroad has the equipment, but most important of all are the people who operate it. In every station along the line, the local agent is the Norfolk and Western. He's a telegrapher, a railroader, and chances are he's a well-respected man in the business and social life of his community. Your smallest shipment will receive his personal attention. Your box of family belongings will be shipped out with care and with dispatch. Your shipment moves from person to person, each one an integral part of the Norfolk and Western system. In the same fashion, the general agents are trained to serve you. Conveniently located all over the United States, they anticipate your car needs, plan for loading, advise on rates, routes, and schedules. If your shipment is exports, imports, coastal or intercoastal, the foreign freight agent is ready to help you. The great piers at Norfolk are part of the system. Among them is Pier N, newest of the lot. $6 million spent on the largest single-deck pier on the Atlantic coast. You're provided with every modern facility for the rapid, safe handling of your freight at piers that are designed to handle every type and size of vessel and cargo. Flags of all nations from ports of the 7 seas meet in this great harbor. Norfolk is the gateway to markets of the world and one of the world's finest year-round ice-free harbors. You'll get personal service when you deal with the people who are the Norfolk and Western.
The shipments are beginning to move out, load by load, car by car, on all the rails that spread out through the system. We know they need that coal to fire the stacks of industry. The riveters will get to work when that girder gets there. The mills will grind when those cars of grain arrive. The department store will open when the carpeting is delivered from that modern rug factory. The shifters and the yard engines pick up the single cars, the strings of 2 and 3, and the local freights begin to build up. They hurry out of the stations, traveling the branch lines from every point on the compass. One thing that boosts them along is centralized traffic control. Trains moving from the east and from the west, moving fast. The position of every train in the district shows on the CTC board. With switch controls and signals, the dispatcher can keep them right under his thumb. Time was when such an operation could be dangerous and slow. Today, the dispatcher designates a siding, the trains pass without stopping. There's no lost motion, and the entire operation is handled in complete safety. CTC is an amazing improvement in railroading. The big parade is on. The pressure mounts. The fast freights of the Norfolk and Western are on the move. They push their way into the big classification yards. They pile into Roanoke, Virginia, heart of the system. They steam towards Portsmouth, Ohio. And when they get there, they're made up into even bigger trains. Around the clock it happens. They wheel towards Williamson, vast assembly yard for westbound coal, right into the heart of West Virginia's great coal fields. All through the night, 86 has been pounding towards Williamson. And that's where we pick her up again. There's 50, 450, riding easy. Yep, 86 slides into the yard right on time. The minute the locomotive pulls in the clear for her replacement, inspection starts. I mean real inspection, car by car and wheel by wheel. We don't aim to have anything hold up 86. The crew is changed. A fresh engine and a caboose are coupled on. And 30 minutes after arrival, we're ready to roll. She leaves the way she came, on time. Once underway, the brakeman climbs up in the cupola to ride herd on his precious cars. And the conductor settles down to his wheel report. The report is the total train on paper and lists each car, its number, weight, and contents.
This is how a railroad keeps track of all the thousands of cars that move over it every day. It's done in the car records office. Here the wheel reports are cut up and each car becomes a separate tab to be sorted by number and a record of its movements made. Here the charges to other roads are compiled. The wheel report is the total train moving now through the coalfield region along Tug River. The plows cut deep into the valleys. The upland hardwoods march over the hills. Underground are vast deposits of all-purpose bituminous coal. Agriculture, industry, and king coal, and the railroad serves all three. Year after year, the Norfolk and Western plows back millions of dollars in improvements, new equipment, and maintenance. Railroad dollars, not taxpayers' dollars. Every man's a specialist on the Norfolk and Western, and every man's job is to build a better railroad. They're working for the freights of tomorrow. They have pride in the road, pride in keeping it one of the top road beds in all America. They're provided with the newest and best possible machines. Machines like this one, which tamps the ballast between and around and under the ties. The work on the line never stops. The high steel men swing girders into place on a new bridge. That bridge is a new approach to an old problem, a problem that the pioneers of the Norfolk and Western had licked once before. That bridge and this fill lead to a new tunnel through Elkhorn Mountain. A new tunnel to speed traffic and increase operating efficiency. The Norfolk and Western put $12 million into this project and cut the largest double-track railroad bore in the world, 7,000 feet long, through the mountain. And once again, the grade and curvature have been reduced. '86, on time, pulls into Bluefield, West Virginia, headquarters of the Pocahontas Division. In its consistent efforts to improve service, the N&W sends observers from its transportation department to study and record the train movements through the yards. One man, stationed at the head end, checks the time, technique, and work of handling the train from his observation post. The time it takes to inspect the train is recorded. Operations at the rear end are watched by a second observer. The speed and efficiency with which the cars for Bluefield are cut out of the train is studied for possible time saving. With the change of crew and equipment, the timing observation is complete. Time Freight 86 is on the move again, and N&W 5450 rolls right along with it, headed for Roanoke. The observers get together to compare notes. The observations bring results. Daily performance proves it.
Along New River in Virginia, the Powhatan Arrow streaks by, one of our finest trains. A real fast streamliner that runs between Norfolk and Cincinnati. Our engineer and fireman check their readings of the automatic signals, and we gather speed as we roll through the rich New River Valley. Coal is the fuel we use and like. And I don't know a fireman who isn't proud of his ability to get peak efficiency out of it. When our engineer opens her up, he's dependent on work and skill and controls that he knows.
The locomotives are the handiwork of the designers, the builders, and the repairmen of the Norfolk and Western shops. Every time you see these men in a huddle, you know something better will come out of it. A better engine, improved consumption of fuel, faster handling of freight. In the shops, design reaches the most minute parts. The tool machines themselves are miracles of precision. If you must think of tons and miles, you also must think of milligrams and millimeters. You must think of correct weight and balance if you are to think of high-speed freights. To ensure the most efficient design and the finest workmanship, the Norfolk and Western builds all of its modern locomotives, including the giant Y6B.
86 proves the work in the shops as she slides through the switches into Roanoke. Roanoke, Virginia, hub of the Norfolk and Western. There's our shipment, still rolling. A crossroads location makes us one of the vital rail links of the nation. And we've got direct connections to the north and south, the east and the west. One of the more important operations in time freight railroading is the re-icing of perishables. The farmers and packers give us fresh fruits and vegetables to carry to market. We take pride in the fact that when we get them there, they're still fresh. Time Freight 86 is pushed up the hump, pushed up to a raised track, and cut apart into units which coast according to destination onto the many tracks to form new trains. Retarders slow the cars down to just the right speed for gentle handling. The tower operators handle the retarders and the switches. Scientific railroading, making up trains with a flick of the wrist. A lot of cars are added to 86. Many are cut out to join new trains. And through shipments stay with her all the way. N&W 50, 450 rolls over and down the hump too, back into a new 86 after only a single day on the road, making up now for the overnight run to Norfolk. You can set your watch by her as 86 leaves on time for the run to Tidewater.
Other time freights move out too, north to Hagerstown, Maryland, up the Shenandoah Valley, south to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, to Piedmont and the Midlands, southeast to Durham, and east to the ports of the Atlantic coast, southwest to Bristol and Norton, Virginia, west to Columbus and Cincinnati, Ohio. The strength of the nation rides on the rails. The reapers gather the wheat and the rye, and the mills ship flour to stores throughout the land. Homes in the making speed over the shining steel. Industry needs its raw materials. Iron and aluminum wait the flats. Steel rides on steel. The fork trucks stack wool for carpets. Tank cars form a swiftly flowing stream of oil. Others move on to private sidings, bringing chemicals for drugs. The stacked carboys carry bleaches, solvents. Dealers need stock to sell, dry goods and washing machines. Detroit ships its cars. Wheels ride on wheels. King Coal rides the rails. Raw material, fuel, and power packed in a coal car. The whistle signal for the farm cow. Graders and threshers travel on flat cars. Trains haul tractors to work the land. Phosphate and potash arrive tonight. The telegraph sends the news. Fast freight rushing fence and wire. Feed for the stock, bran and oats and alfalfa. The speeding trains bear the strength of the nation.
It's 4:45 in the morning in the tower at Norfolk. 86 shows up on the board. The operator hangs out the welcome signal, and 86 rolls into town. And as you might expect, so does N&W 5450. More than 100 years of railroading is rolling through its second century on time.
Check N&W 5450 in.
Transport, an adventure in speed, growth, and progress. Today, America is a nation on wheels. Wheels that have rolled through wilderness and wasteland, leaving in their wake 1,000 cities and 10,000 towns. This is the story of dynamic dreams and far-flung destinies, linked by a network of iron rails, spanning a continent, transforming it into a nation.
Yesterday, none of this was possible.
There is a wilderness to be conquered. The Indian knows that wilderness well. These are a part of his lore and his understanding. He travels far upon them. In 1673, a group of French voyagers, Father Marquette and Joliet among them, reached the shores of Lake Michigan near the mouth of the Chicago River.
These are the advance guard of transport, penetrating far into the Indian country.
Heroically facing the unknown and the new, the white man is already pushing the frontier westward. He is matching his strength with that of the Indian, and the contest across the continent is on. Long before the stagecoach and the turnpike had ceased to be important factors in national travel, a new and radically different method of transportation appeared. The use of steam as a propulsive power in transport is at hand. A brave beginning. English-born, Rocket is his name. Lasting is his fame. George Stephenson hath built him.
Do you think that progress will be swayed by the tea kettle that this man has made?
The iron horse? Precisely so. Soon after the advent of the rocket, the Camden and Amboy Railroad, and now a part of the Pennsylvania Railroad, reaching all the long way across New Jersey, imported this remarkable engine, the John Bull.
And this curious engine?
This was the first practical locomotive ever to be built in America and to go in regular service upon an American railroad. They called him the best friend of Charleston. He was built by the West Point Foundry Company in the city of New York in 1829 and sent by sailing ship to Charleston, there to enter the service of the South Carolina Railroad, later to become part of the Southern Railway system. This DeWitt Clinton also was built at the West Point Foundry for the Mohawk and Hudson Railroad from Albany to Schenectady. The year is 1829, and this is the Tom Thumb, invented by Peter Cooper. Mr. Cooper has made this small engine himself out of odds and ends. Rifle barrels make good flues for his boiler. It is an odd contrivance, but it works. Peter Cooper will show the way.
What is this? Mr. Stokes wagers his horse-drawn coach can go faster than the Tom Thumb?
The race is on.
Oh, the gray mare won.
This is the Atlantic, built in 1832, last of the upright boilered engines. He went to work at once on the Baltimore and Ohio, and he was the first engine ever to enter the city of Washington. In the early 1840s, Chicago found it difficult to keep its head above the swamps and mud surrounding it.
Smoke brings firemen rushing to the rescue. The eager citizens strive madly to save their town from flames. Oh, it's not a fire at all.
The smoke the citizens see is from the Baldwin-built locomotive, the pioneer of the Galena-Chicago Union Railroad. On November 20th, 1848, the Pioneer ran 10 miles out to the Des Plaines River and brought in a load of wheat. Chicago as a railroad center is born. It is now the middle of the century, 1849. From the lately acquired Spanish province of California has come the whispering of a single word, gold, that has set the entire land aflame. No longer is the Missouri the western limit of the nation's growth. There is a new land far away, close to the rim of the western sea. And this new land is a land of gold.
The westward trek has now begun. A slender rivulet of folk headed straight for the setting sun. A steady torrent has become. Men, horses, wagons, coaches, in serried ranks, press westward home and tarry not.
The year is 1859, and one of the most romantic adventures of transport in America is begun. Here is a Wells Fargo coach. Hundreds of these coaches traverse thousands of miles across open plain and rugged mountain country. This is the Pony Express. Night and day, ceaseless, tireless, these couriers. 10 miles to a horse, 60 miles to a rider, 10 days, St. Joe to Sacramento.
The Wells Fargo coach, with its passengers and gold, starts another lap of its journey.
Not always does the gold get through. The ready gun, the swinging fist, and the fastest horses are the law of the overland trail. On this February day of 1861, Abraham Lincoln departs from his hometown of Springfield, Illinois, to take the highest gift within the power of the American people to bestow. It is an hour of great danger.
No one, not in my situation, can appreciate my feeling of sadness at this parting. To this place and to the kindness of these people, I owe everything. Here I have lived a quarter of a century and have passed from a young man to an old man. Here my children have been born, and one is buried. I now leave, not knowing when or whether ever I may return, with a task before me greater than that which rested upon Washington. Without the assistance of that divine being, whoever attended him, I cannot succeed. With that assistance, I cannot fail. Trusting in him who can go with me and remain with you and be everywhere for good, let us confidently hope that all will yet be well. To his care commending you, as I hope in your prayers you will commend me, I bid you an affectionate farewell.
Lincoln walks alone.
No, not alone. Faith leads, and courage is his companion.
Might have spun faster and traveled farther had not the mighty axle of the nation cracked.
Blood was spilled at Bull Run, Fort Sumter, Fort Henry, Shiloh, Antietam, Fredericksburg.
The stench of massacre mingled with immortality at Gettysburg.
Vicksburg, Chickamauga, Kennesaw Mountain, Savannah, Chattanooga, Fishers Creek, Atlanta, and Appomattox.
And then silent guns, broken men, and a mended nation. The wheels turn slowly, sadly. Mr. Lincoln returns.
Hark to these bells, for here it is that life excels o'er death and reigns triumphant.
As early as 1856, the Rock Island Lines built the first bridge across the mighty Mississippi, opening rail commerce to the west. Through the prairie lands of the Sioux and the Comanche, the railroad raced westward. Countless thousands worked together to combine the greatness of East and West. This is the day, this the hour for which the world has waited. May the 10th, 1869, at Promontory Point on the rim of the Great Salt Lake. From Omaha, across the plains of Nebraska and Wyoming, and up over the summits of the Rockies, Dodge and Casement have molded the track of the Union Pacific, while the four giants of California have raced them with their Central Pacific toward this common meeting point. Forging the last rail link across the continent, Governor Leland Stanford drives the spike of gold. Now there is a double line of iron rails, all the way from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
Well named this railroad, Union Pacific. Wrought from human blood against terrific odds, it means indeed a union of East and West which will not be split asunder.
Now from eastern Kansas, the Santa Fe stretches its ribbons of steel south and west beyond the Mesa Verde to the shadow of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains.
For those traveling in this land of romance, there is more than improved eating conditions. Serving the passengers of the old Santa Fe line are the famed Harvey girls, bringing a wealth of beauty, a bit of color, and a lot of refreshing ideas to the southwestern frontier town.
good and bad factions in this frontier town, and the rivalry is keen. The Southwest is being built by men of fortitude and initiative, whose essential toughness of mind and character is present in their descendants today. The scene moves to the Midwestern Northlands. That's the Minnetonka. What the lumberjacks can't carry, the Minnetonka can. And on rails stretching ever forward, farmers, lumberjacks, immigrants, and pioneers of American industry move in. This is James J. Hill, empire builder, creator of the Great Northern Railroad system. It is the heyday of the American farm. As the century draws to a close, the railroads of the Midwest become aware of the potentialities of the fertile lands they've been granted. Among those embarking on elaborate campaigns to attract the immigrants from Northwest Europe to these promising farmlands are the Milwaukee Road and the Burlington Lines.
Leaving the farms and villages of their rugged northland, the peasants come to furrow the plains of the upper Mississippi Valley, to till the lowlands that border the Red River of the North into a bloom of prosperity their descendants are to enjoy.
These farmers, together with the immigrants, are destined to subdue the wilderness. They deal single-handed with the earth and the elements. They feel in a very real sense that they are laying the foundations of a great nation.
Absorb democratic customs. The great American melting pot is functioning.
Then comes the gay 90s. The horse car is arriving. Sunday excursions behind Old Dobbin are the rage.
There is also the cable car, which requires more intricate construction. Its use is widespread, and it vies with the fire chief and the fire engine in the hearts of little boys. Here come the pedal pushers, the Prairie Bicycle Club in full regalia. And the style show is about to begin. The visitors here today are getting a preview of the coming fashions for women.
American inventive genius is concentrated upon the automobile.
The names of Selden, Duryea, Apperson, Buick, and Henry Ford are on everyone's tongue. Into the great American highway. Keeping pace with modern transport.
Diesel-electric offspring of the motor car and the iron horse surpasses the power of its parents to become a vast new agent of our transport. Here, then, is the diesel-electric in its hour of triumph. It is 1934, the yards to the terminals to be accepted into the passenger service. The Burlington's Denver Zephyr, diesel hauled some 1,024 miles in 16 hours without a stop, has made a record that is to stand high in railroad history. Nowhere today, from ocean to ocean, nowhere is there a frontier. Nowhere today are there vast stretches of wasteland or wilderness. Transport has reached across a hemisphere to weld this land into a mighty nation.
Here we sisters dreamed it would be. A fusion of power, vision, pain, and pride. It has felt the weight of the mighty wheel. It has supported the spike and the rails of steel.
For a full century, railroads have forged our destiny. They have cleaved the horizons with twin bands of steel. They have spanned a continent and united a nation. They have stretched arteries of illimitable strength across our illimitable land. This is a story of unique magnificence. For the romance of transportation, the adventure of speed and progress is more than the history of America. It is the lifeblood of the nation.